I say this to people all the time. The farther you get away from coach, the more you appreciate what was going on in that office. Just because the way he approached things every day was special. Like he had a different way of creating an edge to himself and to the people around him every day. And I kind of got him when the program was more than established,
Yeah.
right? Like he didn't have anything else to prove when I was working for him, but you wouldn't know that by the way he worked or the way he pushed the people around him. And he was never going to let the people in that building think what he created was easy
Yeah.
and sustaining it was easy. He worked as if it was the first day all the time. And you have no choice but to appreciate that. And you kind of don't get to appreciate it as much as you can until you leave, until you get farther and further away from it and you realize just how different he is as a human being.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the one thing that makes it unique about who he is just kind of the way he approaches things. Obviously, I've never worked for him,
Mhm.
never played for him, obviously, none of that, but you can see the process, you can see the buy-in, you see players come back for grind week, like you see how much time and how much effort he puts into those relationships, and there's
Mhm.
might be some people that might feel like, hey, maybe someone like leaves or someone like leaves a year early or transfers. There's not that relationship there anymore. But that's not at all. And you have people that you see Izzo yelling at that you're like, hey, maybe there's not that great I want to say not that great relationship, but there's
Mhm.
a little bit of like a different coaching style, but then they come back every single year for grind a week. It's truly a different type of culture, different type of family. And I'm sure that's probably something that you're trying to, obviously, like I said, try to build at SVSU. Maybe not exactly, but try and get a
Mhm.
similar idea.
Yeah, I don't know if you can, if it's possible right now to do what he's done, from a level of love standpoint that those guys share with one another. Cause you kind of have to have the guys return that he's been able to get to come back that preach him that same language
Yeah.
that he has done. And that's built over the course of however many years, like 30 plus years in which he would be able to stay at the same spot. And that's why I say, like, I the farther you get away from it, the more special it becomes because you just realize how rare it is to do what he's done over the course of time. But he pushes the people in that building, and it's everybody, like the student secretaries, the student managers, the GAs. No matter who you are in that building, you'll be pushed to your highest level. And when you leave, however you leave, the same respect is bestowed upon you if you did what you were supposed to do in the building. It doesn't matter why you left,
Yeah.
but if you gave me everything you had while you were here, you're still a part of this because I would not have as many wins as I have without all of the people that walked through the door. Why, whether they walked in for a reason or walked out for a reason, he does understand that it matters. Like I text him after he became the all-time winner, leading or winning his coach in Big Ten history. And he texts me back about like how I was a part of those wins and thanked me for that. Like he doesn't have to do that.
Yeah.
He did not have to answer the phone because he would have got those wins whether I was there or not, but not in his mind. And
Yeah.
that's what makes him special,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. And I think one part of it that you said that was interesting to your answer was that you didn't think that it could like truly be replicated
Mhm.
nowadays because of like the players have to return. And obviously we
Mhm.
live in a little bit of a different world when it comes to athletics. There's things called transfer portal, there's things
Mhm.
called NIL. And one thing that you talked about in your press conference, your introductory press conference, is that you talked about what players can see from their coach, and you specifically said, quote, because when it is real, you can tell, and when it is real, it is rare. How difficult is it to do that nowadays in college athletics when there's things like NIL, when there's things like transfer portal? Do you think because of those things, obviously, I don't want to say like there's no like authentic coaches anymore, but there might be
Mhm.
coaches that might tell players of you like, hey, if you come here, you'll get this, this, and this. But
Mhm.
they say that just to get the player to come here.
That is essentially the job. You have to get the player to come there, but at the end of the day, the real version of you is going to come out when that player is there and doing whether what they're supposed to do or not what they're supposed to do. So, I mean, the landscape of the sport is changing, but it's also changing for the better also of the practitioner, in my opinion,
Okay.
because it's gonna force us all to do our jobs just a little bit better. Like we're gonna have to shrink the time in which we are able to develop players because we're not gonna have 4 years.
Yeah.
So you have to be more strategic and scientific in how you're gonna go about developing players to get them to reach their peak for you as quite quickly as you can. Your roster might change over from one year to the other, in which the system schematically that you run the year before, you're not going to be able to run the next year.
Exactly.
That ultimately leads to better knowledge and better wisdom of the practitioner, and ultimately will make the sport better if we can get it right. So it's going to challenge and push everybody. The issue becomes you're not going to be able to gain the relationships you once did by getting to know somebody over the course of from when they were 18 to when they're 22 or 23. You're not going to see the full growth of that. But from a knowledge standpoint, from a wisdom standpoint, we have to shrink our timetable. And because you got to get better all the time.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's fun.
Yeah.